Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of Are We There Yet? Folks, today I'd like to look at feedback. We know how important seller feedback is. What about buyer feedback? And I'm not talking about the feedback that a seller has left a buyer, but how about the feedback that the buyer has left a seller? A strategy of ours that we have recently started is looking at the buyer's sent feedback when an offer is made, especially if that offer is a lowball or, one of those kind where it's on the fence. Yeah, I could take it. Do I want to take it? And you go back and forth on that one. I think for us, what tips the scales is feedback that buyer may have left. And I've walked away from some decent offers as well. If feedback looks very, very poor, they just don't seem they've given a seller a fair shot. And most of us sellers, as you know, will reach out. We appreciate a buyer reaching out and informing us of their, of whatever it is that they may not be satisfactory, and we are usually, we want to work it out. We want the buyer ultimately to be happy with the transaction and to come back to us, and certainly we want them to stay on the platform. We don't want the buyer to go elsewhere, to have too many bad experiences on eBay. So I think it's important, but I think it goes both ways. And as I've always been taught, if you can't say anything nice, yeah. So anyway, I thought we would jump into this and have a look at some feedback that I have noticed. These are offers. These are buyers that have made offers to me, and I've gone in and I'll show you how I go about doing that. But I'll go in and look at the feedback that they have sent to others, and if it looks like these that I'm going to show you, I not only decline that offer, but I will block that buyer. Absolutely, without a doubt. I do not want to risk my feedback, and many times I feel the feedback that they have given a particular seller is unwarranted, it's unjustified, and I certainly don't want that appearing on my feedback. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into this. I've spent a whole lot of time and I didn't even start a timer. Let me start that timer so I know that I'm not just going to keep on talking and dragging this thing out. I do have our agenda. It's a pretty simple agenda today. Let's bounce into this feedback. So here's an example, and obviously I have omitted the buyer in this case and have blocked or omitted the seller names. So anyway, so here's an example where I think, perhaps this buyer could have reached out to the seller directly and asked for maybe a partial refund or anyway, I mean, it's fair. They think it was a tin box and it could have been shipped cheaper, then perhaps they should have considered the shipping amount beforehand before they purchased it. I don't know what the situation was when this transaction happened, but I did see it, and it did raise the hair on the back of my neck. This one here, this feedback here, again, here the seller is responding and saying, I honestly don't know what to say. Just read the item description. My policies are clearly stated, and $8 is not reasonable or not unreasonable. I don't know. Again, I don't know if the goods that were purchased. If it's a pair of jeans, $8 is more than reasonable, in my opinion. And I don't know that I would state in my descriptions that I consider all of these expenses in my shipping fees, or but I mean, these are valid, they're valid expenses. They're you don't get these things for free. Tape costs, gas costs, I mean, it all costs. And especially if the buyer is making an offer that is well below what you're asking, you've obviously have built some of these expenses into the price or the asking price of that product or that item. And if somebody is undercutting that, then yeah, you are going to lose out in these other expenses. And you can't just call it cost of doing business. Guess what? You won't be doing business very long if you keep cutting those out, if you do not pay attention to those expenses. So anyway, I thought that was a bit unfair. I would have to side with the buyer, and I did. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. And this one again this is a real buyer. This is somebody who's made me an offer, and when I went in to look at their feedback, this is what I saw. I'm seeing, sold me a fake pair of glasses. Perhaps I would have appreciated this person coming to me direct and not, blasting it on my feedback, especially if I'm offering free returns. Free returns, I'm paying for the label. I'm paying for the label to have that person ship it back. If you're not satisfied, you're not satisfied. eBay, especially these days, eBay will support that buyer. So I don't feel that it was warranted to leave this sort of feedback. A neutral. I don't know what the purpose of neutral is. I would rather you just not say anything at all. Back to my, if you can't say anything nice. This may be legit. Again, I don't know that it needed to be blasted out on feedback. I feel the buyer could have reached out to the seller. Am I being unfair, folks? I don't know. I don't know that I want to do business with people with these behaviors. I guess we'll go with that. And certainly a comment like this is just, come on, we're adults. That's pretty outrageous. Here's another one. We're giving. So anyway, this is probably some dialogue that could have happened in directly with the seller. I think there probably would have been a more amicable solution to this rather than this feedback. So I obviously chose not to do business with this buyer. Another one. Those are not the Niziza jeans. False advertising. Free returns. At least contact the seller. And, there's a return item there. I don't know that was necessary. Never received the merchandise. Neat. Okay. Seller did show the tracking number. I don't know that I would have put a tracking number in there, but perhaps there would have been another sort of reply, a better reply. This one is not terrible, but there's an awful lot of neutrals that kind of raised the hair on the back of my neck again. Just looking at it again, it's just not something I wanted to risk my feedback over. Here again, this one, all kinds of red. Shoes are too narrow. Side was indicated in shoes. So, you got to think that the seller did their due diligence in describing these, and if they're not described, then reach out to the seller. I keep repeating that, but I mean, we can, eBay provides us a means, facilitates some interaction between seller and buyer, and we can work out these grievances, these differences, in my opinion. Again, it's too small. Free returns should have eliminated a lot of this. I don't know that I believe that anymore, and we'll get into why later on. And these are shrunk. They're, that's something you run the risk of when you buy pre-owned. And it's important to look at any measurements that the seller may provide, and not just what the manufacturer tag says on size. You even have to take that with a grain of salt, right? I mean, isn't it Chico's that has the vanity sizes, and a size 2 is not actually a size 2? What is that? I think it might be a small or a large. I don't know. I'd have to go to my cheat sheets on that. Oh, yeah, before we get into that. Okay, so those are some examples of some feedback of some buyers that I have chosen not to do business with because of their interactions with sellers, and it's just again not a buyer that I want to transact with. Anyway, wondering if I wanted to point this out. It's probably controversial. It's the way I choose to do business. It's the way I choose to protect myself, and it's if I have the opportunity to check a buyer's feedback, before I accept that transaction or I enter into that transaction, I'm going to do it, and I do my darndest to check it every single time. Now, obviously, somebody buys something outright, you just got to hope for the best, right? I'm not going to cancel an order because the buyer has feedback. I'm just going to hope for the best, and sometimes I won't even check it because I don't want to lose sleep over it, right? So here's some feedback, and I am going to show I have not blocked anything out of this. You'll see the messages, the correspondence between myself and the buyer. You will see the feedback. I've not blocked or blacked anything out. If you were to look at my feedback and you drill into and look at my one and only negative feedback, you'll find this person. So from my perspective, this is public knowledge. So there it is. This is the feedback I received, or not the feedback, but a message that I received from a buyer. For obviously, you can see here, it's a pair of women's capris, and you can read here, says, "Ugh, what did you wash these with?" Right away, that's like, wait a minute, whoa, you're coming at me. I think there's a better approach that a buyer. I think we can approach one another professionally and with common courtesy, and not all automatically start attacking and accusing. So anyways, so apparently they smelled really bad. I don't know, not quite sure what patchouli is, but they were not left in a car in Texas. They weren't left in a trunk. I'm in Iowa. Wife isn't happy, and these things stink. Okay, that's fine. I mean, things could happen between here and there. I don't know that I should have been automatically accused of shipping something that was, obviously in very, very poor and offensive, condition. Oh, nice, cute little emoji there too. So I did reply to that. Hello, and thanks for reaching out. We are surprised to learn that such an offensive odor was not detected during our inspection, cleaning, and processing phases. Please accept our apologies and return them free of charge. We will promptly provide a full refund upon receiving the item. eBay's policies. I clearly state, you can expect a full refund if, we just want them back. And I want to see, what happened, because all sellers, I would expect a lot of viewers of these videos are sellers themselves. We put a lot of time in inspecting the items, cleaning the items. They, you're working very closely with the items when you're photographing them, and you're packing them and storing them. And there's a lot of hands-on. You have physically touched that product, and I can't believe that there would be sellers, or the majority of sellers that would send out an item in that condition. I certainly wouldn't. So that was my stance, my reply. Folks, I'm going to run over. I need to start setting these timers for 20 minutes because 15 minutes I just can't do it. So I'm going to stop it so it doesn't annoy us later on. My reply, the reply from the buyer was, sorry, we threw these in the trash. Not worried about a refund, but we'll be leaving a negative. No reason the stink wasn't picked up. I smelled it in the mailbox before opening the mailbox. Okay, so at that point, I think we're done, right? You're not going to refund. You're not going to send them back. You don't want the refund, whatever. And in my perspective is this conversation has ended. No, that is not the case, folks. So a couple days later, I get, to show you, this was on June 22nd. So 5 days later, June 27th, we get a message that says, wife said if you want to send a refund, we won't leave the negative. We don't want to be your first negative feedback. Whoa. Okay. To me, my perspective, that's extortion. Straight up extortion. Give me my money and I won't leave you a negative feedback. Not going to send the item back. Just give me my money back and we won't leave a negative. Extortion. At that point, I reported the buyer, because that's not the policy. The policy is we offer 30-day free returns, and we will refund your money providing we get the item back in the same condition it was sent. You don't have the item to send back. I'm sorry, that's on you, not me. So that's where we left it. And then just shortly thereafter, assuming the buyer clarified that's a refund of $11 and they'll eat the shipping. Well, folks, I offer free returns. I'm going to eat the shipping. So that's where that was. How'd that end? Well, he did in fact leave the feedback. Let's go ahead and look at that. Again, this is all public knowledge or public. We can go here. Let's look at my feedback. Let's go here, my negative, and there is our negative feedback. Feedback is these were an absolute waste of money. They smelled so bad we threw them out. Seller communication was good, offered a refund if we sent them back, but the stink just wasn't worth it and we were not going to pay shipping twice. Wait a minute, folks. Offer free returns. I pay for the label, the shipping label, the cost being sent back to me. So there would have been no cost to this buyer. So that's just simply untrue. So the stink was so bad, they're not going to pay it twice. Use caution. Cannot recommend this seller at all. So I immediately replied to that because of course, this is public. People are going to see it right away. Rich, Midstate already has negative feedback where, this is our one and only. So at least I want to, and I think everybody should, if you get any sort of bad feedback, you want to reply to that immediately and present your case, And so mine is constructive. Truthful feedback is always welcomed. However, we expressed our surprise to learn about the odor, blah, blah, cleaning and whatever. We offered our sincere apology and a complete refund, including shipping expenses incurred upon return of the item per eBay's return policy. We strive to provide the best customer experience, blah, blah, blah. It's unfortunate that we couldn't have come to a more amicable resolution to the case. And then I made my call to eBay because I wanted this removed. It's like, look, here, and of course I sent all of our dialogue back and forth, all of our correspondence back and forth. They knew that I submitted the buyer as abusing the eBay's policies, which I still believe they were. But the representative took the buyer's side. Okay? There's nothing I can do. The reason what was stated to me was this is the buyer's experience and they are entitled to share their experience in this format, in this feedback format. Okay. I ate it. I took one for the team, folks. No. I could have reached out and groveled and said, hey, okay, I'll give you your money back, just remove the feedback. Nope, I'll take it, I'll wear it, badge of honor. I don't know. Anyway, I hope some of this helps. If you get a chance, look at the buyers, at the feedback that that the buyer sends or submits to sellers, and hopefully it will save you a situation like this. Folks, I think I don't have any more examples to show you. I think I've probably taken up a lot of your time. I do want to, though, tell you that I do want to inform you or let you know about a couple other videos series that I do. Know your numbers. We look at the numbers of the week and how they compare to where our month to date progress is, what that's like compared to last month, prior months, prior years. You Sold What is another one where we'll dive into our good, our bad, and our ugly sales. We'll look into item specifics in that to see, did we just buy, was it a bad item? We shouldn't have bought it. Paid too much for it. Didn't describe it correctly. So we'll also look at Terapeak and see what those items, comparable items are selling for, and whether, we could have done better or whatnot. So I'm hoping that those, can be helpful and informative. I don't go through every single sale, but at least with Know Your Numbers, you'll know where we are, how much money we have made, how much money, our fees and such, and we'll be cutting a lot of that stuff out. Hey folks, my name is Rich, and I certainly appreciate your time today. I hope to see you back, and certainly in some of these other videos. Thank you very much.